This got me laughing late last night. Good morning. It's great to be here on KCMO Talk Radio. I was catching up on some of the Facebook comments I had on my page late last night, and I got a comment here from Adam. It was random, and it stood out to me because it was on a post of me and the girls running in that 5K to bring awareness to the fentanyl crisis in Kansas City. And the post from Adam read, Pete, Jason Whitlock is dragging you on his show. I'm like, oh, what's that all about?
Luckily, you're not dragging him. I can't imagine a fireman's carry on that blob.
Oh, yeah. Good point, John. So I'm like, what is this all about? And then after about 10 seconds, I said, I know exactly what this is about. Knew exactly what this was going to be in relation to. So Jason Whitlock, of course, prominent sports and now more of a news personality.
Strike that. Not prominent.
Yeah, well, depends who you ask.
Okay.
Depends who you ask.
All right.
Of course, longtime Kansas City writer and media personality as well, so he's known very well in this town. He was very upset with an article that I wrote at barrettmedia.com. I write a couple pieces a month for them. They do a great job covering radio, TV, digital media, and they let me opine on just different things happening in our industry. And I wrote a piece that Jason Whitlock was very disappointed in. And the headline was, Why Stephen A. Smith, of course, the top commentator at ESPN, for those of you that don't know, should be the person that news talk radio hosts emulate. And before I play some of the audio from Whitlock, I'll just say the whole purpose of this piece was a very simple one. The point was Stephen A. Smith has branched out into more of the political arena. That is a smart move for his brand. And the purpose was to point out that news talk show hosts should be more interested in things other than the diehard day-to-day politics of the moment. Like, we've done a lot this morning on this show. We try to do a pretty diverse show every single day, topic-wise. Obviously, we cover the national politics, but local news, national news, pop culture, some sports when it's relevant beyond just the day-to-day sports world, societal issues, cultural issues. We try to do it all. And that was the point of it. Stephen A. Smith getting into the political arena and political commentary has been good for his brand. And news talk show hosts who are just dialed in every day on the happenings in D.C. have got to get out of their own bubble. That will be good for them and their brand and their show. That was it. That's the purpose of the article. But what I learned in listening to Jason Whitlock comment on this article I wrote is that he has a severe case of SASDS. That is Stephen A. Smith derangement syndrome.
See what you did there?
Yes. Forget TDS. He has a severe case of SASDS. Now, it sounds like an overcomplicated STD, but that's what it is. SASDS.
Penicillin?
So here's some of Whitlock's commentary on his show Fearless, where he just ripped me on Friday in the article that I wrote on barrettmedia.com about Stephen A. Smith dabbling in the political arena.
And the big headline is, Why Stephen A. Smith Should Be the Person News Talk Radio Host Emulate. And I'm like, wow. Barrett Media is trolling me today. And trust me, I have nothing but respect for Jason Barrett and Barrett Media and everybody that works there. They have individual writers who write opinion pieces. This is written by Pete Mundo, and it's a story celebrating Stephen A. Smith. And I'm sitting there going, man, why is it? Let me go click on and read this story. And I get to early on in the story, it's built on the gist that I'm reading directly from the story. Stephen A. Smith has wisely played in the political sandbox with little evidence to suggest it's hurting his brand as a sports commentator. In fact, Stephen A.'s brand is now growing beyond the world of sports, which is to his benefit. Then it quotes Stephen A. Smith from The Hollywood Reporter. I'm not a politician, Smith recently told The Hollywood Reporter. I don't believe I'm qualified to be a politician. I don't have any experience, nor have I ever had any interest. But I do love talking about issues that matter to the everyday American citizen. The way things are looking right now, it's nothing but chaos, and it's going downhill. The binary system that we are living in can't come together on a damn thing. Let's call balls and strikes. Let's get back to doing what's in the best interest of the country instead of the best interest of ourselves. That's why I believe people have been trying to coax me into joining the fray of politics. End quote from Stephen A. Smith. Then the writer, Pete Mundo, picks up, this is brilliant commentary from Smith. He's not diving headfirst into one side of the political pool, but rather branding himself as someone who is criticizing the binary system and is interested in calling balls and strikes while getting back to doing what's in the best interest of the country. I'm sitting there, oh, wow.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there with Whitlock's commentary. Because what he goes on to do is ignore maybe the most important part of the piece, which is when I follow that up by saying, who does that sound like to you? Someone who really is not in the political arena, started to get into the political arena, started to comment on really looking out for the average American, calling balls and strikes, crushing the binary system. Sounds like Donald Trump, 2010 to 2015. That was Trump. Now, Trump obviously is now the face of the Republican Party, and I'm also in no way claiming that Stephen A. Smith is the next Donald Trump. My point is for his brand. And when you're in the media business, what you try to achieve every day is brand growth and interest and attention. For that purpose alone, Stephen A. Smith is, yes, brilliant for dabbling in this political sandbox. It's not hurting him on the sports side, and he's got a lot more people learning about him, following him, and being interested in him as he now dabbles in the political arena. That's it. That's the purpose of what I'm getting at here. There's nothing more to it. But Whitlock goes on.
So I'm reading this morning after last night, all of us, most of the world, sitting around like, oh, wow, we're at the brink of World War III. Israel's bombing Iran. Will Iran respond? Will America get dragged into this?
Which is completely irrelevant from an article that I wrote for an industry outlet. Like, somehow tying, are we on the brink of World War III after Israel bombs Iran, to a media industry article that I happened to write last week. These two things have nothing in common. And Jason Whitlock is a bright man and understands that. So I don't know why he's weaving these two things together. But anyway, we'll continue with his commentary.
And I wake up this morning and hop on my email, and there's a story talking about how brilliant Stephen A. Smith is for jumping into politics. And I started thinking about, we're at the brink of war, and we have all this chaos in America. Tomorrow, June 14th, what is it? No King's Day. They're planning protests and riots and looting all across the country to support illegal immigration. And there are people that are taking Stephen A. Smith entering the political fray seriously.
Taking his commentary seriously and being willing to admit that his commentary is good for his brand is not the same as saying, I'm dying to know what Stephen A. Smith is thinking about Israel attacking Iran. I don't believe that Stephen A. Smith is the expert on that topic. I'm not suggesting that he is. And this is where Whitlock is taking the purpose of what I was getting at and what I was writing and driving it in a totally different direction. And the only conclusion I can come to is that he is blinded by his SASDS, Stephen A. Smith derangement syndrome.
And because it's not just Pete Mundo. Everybody's posting and talking about Stephen A. Smith. People that I like and respect. There's those group of young guys, the Cartier family or whatever. I saw they put out a tweet yesterday praising Stephen A. Smith for something he said, political or whatever, and he's this voice of reason. And I'm just, how did we get here where someone this fraudulent, such an imposter, could be being celebrated? A bona fide idiot, pathological liar. And this isn't me sitting here. I know somebody, Whitlock, he's...
By the way, you know what they said about Donald Trump? He's a fraud. He's an imposter. He's an idiot. He's a liar. I mean, it's all the same stuff. And that's where for Trump back in 2015, had he lost in 2016, he was going to come out a winner. Had he won, obviously, he came out a winner. And that was my message to anybody in the media. Expanding your brand beyond your niche, if you play your cards right, is a brilliant move. That's what Stephen A. Smith is doing. And the fact that Whitlock is spending 5-6 minutes on this proves my exact point. That it's good for his brand.
Jealous of Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, he's got the bag. He's making all this money. And Whitlock's just jealous, and he's got this obsession with Stephen A. Smith. It's not that. There are people that I dislike that I am more than willing to praise when they get things right. If Stephen A. Smith gets things right. But I just think it's dangerous. We're living in a time where American culture has been so dumbed down that someone as fraudulent as Stephen A. Smith could enter into politics after making a complete mess of sports commentary and being proven time and time and time again he knows nothing about sports. Now we've reached a place where it's so dumb in America that a bona fide idiot, pathological liar with obvious frauds passed off in his narrative background, we're all celebrating him entering into politics. And I think of the movie, what's it called, Idiocracy? And I think, like, I wake up, we're at the brink of World War III, and there are people celebrating Stephen A. Smith entering into politics, and I'm like, this is when I go to, well, this is just hopeless. We are at the end times. It can't get any dumber than this.
And neither can Whitlock's commentary. It really can't. Because he completely missed the forest through the trees on the point that was being made. And he solidified my point by spending 6 minutes talking about it. He gave Stephen A. Smith attention because of this piece I wrote and because Smith is dabbling in the political arena. He did exactly what I said Stephen A. Smith is accomplishing by doing what he's doing in political commentary right now on his own show. He proved my point to a T. And for that, I thank Jason Whitlock. And as I ended this piece on BarrettMedia.com by writing the other day, I said, much like Stephen A. Smith has done with sports, showcasing your ability as a talk show host to entertain beyond news and politics will serve you well in growing your brand in your market. It'll make you more well-rounded as a host and a more interesting person to listen to. Now go be entertaining. That's what Stephen A. Smith is doing. It's not about being right. This business is not about being right. Never has been about being right. It's about being entertaining. Stephen A. is doing that. And Whitlock, who I looked up this morning, has made 10 videos this month, or in the last 4 weeks, I should say. Not this calendar month, but the last 4 weeks. He's got 10 videos on his YouTube page about Stephen A. Smith. It's about one every 3 days, really one every other day when you think about it, because you got to take the weekends off. You tell me who's obsessed with who, and you tell me who is winning the battle of attention. It's Stephen A. Smith. And that is, frankly, the only goal in the business. 913-408-7957. We have Tirade Tuesday coming up in 15 minutes on KCMO Talk Radio. But next, I have a clip from 6 years ago. For those of you who believe that Trump is on the brink of taking us into World War III, this clip from 2019, I hope, will make you feel better. We'll play it next on 95.7 FM and streaming on the free KCMO Talk Radio app.